Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Sparks Entertainment and Art, a podcast, no, a YouTube show dedicated to the band Sparks with a focus on their fans and the great dedication and enthusiasm that the fans have for this band. We're going to explore why that is, as well as many other things as we progress through this show. And today, we are going to start with a great guest, which is the host of the Sparks. What's the name of your podcast? All you ever think about is Sparks podcast.
That's
Mr.
it. That's the
Christian
one.
Huey. What's that? That's the one. And as we will discuss, it is the only podcast dedicated to the band Sparks. And that's part of the interesting conversation we're going to have. So, Christian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Monty. So much. I know people who may be watching your show for the first time may not be aware that we've actually. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second time. I'm never sure if I'm getting secret signals over here.
No,
Yeah,
well,
people
there are the thousands of new fans that we've gotten just since the first show. So you're
just
right.
since the first show. Well deserved if that's the case for sure. We've spent who knows how many hours talking about Sparks, but I'm always excited to do that with you, and I'm excited for this new venture and this new format, and I love
Well, are you there?
the title and the emphasis on fandom. There's not enough of it. Thanks for having me on.
Well, absolutely. And we are going to talk about your show and all the things that make it so great and exciting. But before that, I have a couple things. One of them is going to be brand new to you. I didn't even tell you in advance that we're going to be doing this. Are you ready for this?
Super ready.
Okay. I got a package today from a friend of mine named Sarah, who I used to hang out with. She had told me that she had found some treasures and she was going to send them to me, and she did. So I am going to unbox it on air. You are going to love it.
This is a live virgin unboxing. Cool.
I got it started just to save time, but it is a live unboxing of what she sent me, and I don't even know completely what's in here, but it's going to be really cool. So I got it started there. We're going to go dig right in, folks. Okay. So we got from my friend Sarah, a wonderful, wonderful person, I should add. And this is what she sent me. And take a look at this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I don't even know if this is going to be facing the right way when I pull it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then maybe I'll be prepared for two responses. Okay, reactions.
All right. So here's what we have. She sent me all of these old, wonderful Sparks 45s.
Oh my Lord, that is a treasure trove.
I do not even know which ones are here. She said she found a bunch, but here is, look at this. Sparks Beat the Clock.
Is that
I didn't even know I owned it.
Is that a color disc, or is that just black?
Yeah,
Is that black and white?
Oh, the disc? I don't know. That's in an envelope. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Here, this one we can tell. Tryouts for the Human Race.
Oh, fantastic. I love the artwork on these singles, by the way, from that era.
What's that?
I said I really like the artwork on the singles from that era.
They're amazing. Sparks, Modesty Plays.
Nice. That's a relative rarity.
I do not even know what's in here. Can you believe that?
Man.
I am like finding this out with you as we go. Look at this one. The number one song in heaven, original 45.
Yeah, oh man, yet another one. See,
how can I thank Sarah enough for what she sent me? Oh wow!
Is there anything?
Look at this, Sparks, Tips for Teens and the Willies. I can't even remember seeing this cover.
Wow, and that's interesting, and that would not seem to be a photo of Russell from quite that era.
I know it is not a photo of Russell from that era. Or Ron, for that matter.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Funny cool. Face. It's Funny Face. Yeah.
Funny Face. Yeah. May I ask where Sarah approximately is geographically?
She's in the United States. I crossed her name out. She's a private person generally. So I believe
Totally
she's in
understandable.
Montana now or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
The
So I haven't kept up with her
big
as much as I
sky.
should have. Can't go wrong with a single copy of This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us.
You
Back
got
with
it.
Barbara
Oh my
Cutie and our friend
goodness.
Martin Gordon. Oh my gosh, this goes on and on, man. Look at this. Young girls.
Ooh, that's another relative rarity.
Yeah. Backed with Just Because You Love Me. And everyone knows how much we love that album.
True. True. And well, we did sing a few of its praises, and there are
We
some,
did.
but yeah.
We did. We did. Amateur Hour, backed with Lost and
Oh my
Found.
goodness.
Sparks, When I'm With You.
Oh, that's another great
Tips for
cover.
Teens.
Now,
How do
was
you like
that?
that?
I think I've seen so that the little scribbling on Ron there. Is that part of the?
It's a hand going like that. It is part of the original.
It's part of the
Yes,
original. Okay, that's what I
it is
thought.
part of the original. And I can't believe this is total coincidence that this is the last one, because wait till I show you this one. And I'm seeing it for the first time maybe since college, since 1980 or something like that. All right. It's
Okay.
a chew, but look real closely. It's autographed.
Whoa!
I can't believe it.
This is a good friend indeed.
I don't think I realized what a good friend she was, or
Man, that is
is,
a.
I
I mean,
guess.
that's a treasure trove. What do you've got? Like a dozen new 45s there.
And they're all good.
No kidding. Now you just got to get yourself an old style jukebox that will play 45s, and
Well,
unless
I
you have
got a
one.
turntable. I don't know. I don't think
Hey,
it
there you
plays. I
go. Hey,
had
there
to
you
get one
go.
of those adapters.
Yeah.
Remember those things that nobody really knows what they're called? Little yellow things?
Oh, the little spacer dealies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I. Vinyl was going by the wayside right around the time I hit my teens and got my
Hmm.
tips for teens. But I do remember seeing those little spacers.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, well,
That's super cool.
thank you, Sarah. This is a treasure trove. Can't thank you enough. What else can I say?
I've got some Sparks envy over here. I've got some male envy. That's fantastic stuff.
It was, she just got in touch with me about 2 weeks ago and said, I'll dig it up for you if you want it. And I said, sure.
So was this
And
from her
now I
personal
got it
collection?
today. What's that?
Was this from her personal collection, you think?
Well, we would get stuff together. So some of it might have been stuff that I got her or whatever, but, or who knows? Who knows how these things go? But it's
If
pretty
I were
awesome
you today,
collection there.
it might as well be my birthday.
Oh, I
That's
appreciate
cool.
that. I appreciate that. We're going to get to you. We're going to get to you, but um, there's one other thing I want to do, and oh darn it, I had it all arranged, and now I don't. But we're going to get to you. Let's do that now, and then we can come back to the other thing I wanted to do in a minute. Okay? And if
Sure.
that has to wait, it'll wait. But here's what I want to do. I want to talk to you because I want to understand, and I want all of our listeners to understand what it was that led you to decide to form a podcast about the band Sparks. And I will just preface it by saying getting a podcast underway is not an easy thing. It takes a lot of time and work, and you did it. So, Christian, over to you. What
All
was your
right. Well,
inspiration?
with not just a little bit of your assistance as well there as when I got started, both moral and not moral, yeah, moral support, practical support, all that. Um, okay, so golly, it's been 4 years now, I think, since I started the podcast. All you ever think about is Sparks, and it's wild to me. I can't. Boy, it's hard to know where to start. So I'll start from the beginning. Why did I do it? Well, Sparks, of course, um, one of both of our all-time favorite bands. That's why we're having this conversation. We've had so many like it. Um, I like other artists that I had discovered over the years, um, there was something obviously very special about Sparks, and we can talk about those things individually in a moment. But also, there was just I couldn't find very much information. I mean, really in-depth information about them, and and I don't just mean like their personal lives and whatnot. We all know that's
Yeah.
by design, but there wasn't, I guess, what you would say a whole lot of scholarship about Sparks and their history and their discography, and I thought, well, that's wild. When I discovered them, and this is where I have to I'm a little humbled because I've believe it or not, I have only been a Sparks fan for 15 years now. Just a quick
Hmm.
15
In the
years, really.
Sparks universe, that's just a blip.
It is,
Yeah.
exactly,
Any
'cause,
other band, it's a long
Sparks,
time, but
if you
good.
imagine their career up to now as being a, geologic epic. Yes, just like that.
Right.
Oh gosh, where was I? I mean, I looked around, and of course, there were a couple of biographies that you and I know about, and of course, and I've ended up using a couple of those as resources for what I did. There was so much I wanted to know about Sparks, and because I couldn't find it, I sought out to find it and then convey it. I've always
Hmm.
loved podcasts. I was a podcaster before. I did a little comedy podcast with some comedian and actor friends of mine a long time ago called Chicken Fried Radio. It might be floating around out there still. Um,
Okay.
and I wanted to start a new. I wanted to start a new podcast. I didn't know what it was going to be about, but I wanted to. I did want it to be some kind of, a lack of a better word, journalism, and I figured music journalism. And why not Sparks? One of my absolute favorite bands of all time. There's a mystique about them. There's not a whole lot of readily available scholarship on them. And I kind of thought maybe I started to get the impression early on that the Sparks fandom was full of a lot of generous people, and that also extends to former bandmates of theirs throughout the years, um, and whatever engineers, people who are associated with them throughout their career, and sure enough, I've been delightfully surprised at how generous and willing a lot of those folks have been with their time. Love talking. Everyone's love talking about Sparks and their role in it.
Who are some of the guests that you've had?
Well, I think you briefly mentioned our friend Martin Gordon, who was the bassist on Kimono, and I forget, was it just Kimono? I think
It was
it was
just Kimono,
just Kimono. That's right.
as he will mention to you. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. He's been on the show a couple of times,
Yeah.
um, and we know that it's sort of just been the way of the world in Sparks Land, that they will assemble a band when they have an idea of what kind of sound or what it is that they want to do at that moment, and then after that LP's come and gone, the tour's come and gone, that they'll scrap that and try something new. And we sort of take that for granted there. Now
Right.
that's just sort of their mo. And it came as more of a surprise, I think, particularly to that iteration of the band, because they were so successful, just right out of the gate, practically in the
Well,
UK and Europe.
also, if you think about it, I mean, they basically ditched their US band to go over to the UK by themselves. So
Right,
they had set the precedent. But at that point, no one would say that this is going to be part of their operating style for the next 50 years. It
right,
just seemed like they had an opportunity to go to the UK and they were wished Godspeed and off they went.
right.
But then it turned out with time, you can see that, okay, there's a pattern here.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I get. I want to hit on a question that you've asked me before, and it has to do with the why. Why did I decide to do this? And well, I had some inspirations from some folks that were doing something kind of similar, maybe in the same format or a slightly different format. And I've got to give a shout out to some of these people because the depth and the breadth of what they have done is absolutely phenomenal, and it's held and that has been the standard for me to hit. I've rarely hit it, but it's there, and that's Chris O'Leary, who started the a David Bowie blog called Pushing Ahead of the Dame. And since then, he's published two books that compile everything that he
That's
wrote up in
amazing.
his blog over the
Good
many
for
years.
him.
And what he set out to do, and he achieved, was to go song by song, recording by recording, and then album by album, tour by tour, chronological order, starting at the very, very beginning and giving nothing short shrift. If there was something, he would delve into the lyrics. What do they mean? Could they be inspired by this piece of literature or another? He gets into music theory, which is something I don't have a whole lot of training in. So working on this podcast kind of spurred me to learn more about music theory and gosh, all kinds of stuff. There was so enough about Chris O'Leary. There's another couple of guys, and forgive me, I don't remember their names, but they have been doing a podcast pretty much like what I'm doing, and we've been doing since I've had you on the show so many times, and I would consider you a co-host at this point.
Don't.
Uh,
I will tell you why. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So they might be giants is the artist. It's the band that these guys chose, who I think, and I'm not the only one to think this, are similar in approach and I don't know philosophy to Sparks, and in some ways, and they did the same thing, but in podcast form. So I thought, oh, that's great. Okay, I've got this really intricate like academic level scholarship on the Bowie thing in written form, and I've got these guys bringing all these people to interview who were there in the room at the time for this other artist. And what can I possibly manage a way to meld all that with just little old me? Um, and it's I mean, it's been an amazing challenge. I frankly can't believe that I'm still doing it, and I can't believe how lucky I have been to have gotten to talk to the people that I've gotten to talk to, yourself included. Um,
Well, you
and
mentioned Mark Gordon. You've also have David Kendrick on there, Hilly
yeah, sorry, I
Michaels.
got derailed.
Yeah.
Dave Kendrick. Oh my goodness. James Lowe.
James Lowe, of course, the great James Lowe.
Yeah, yeah. Formerly, or maybe I think currently of the Electric Prunes.
Yeah.
Who produced their second album.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you've
goodness
had
me.
Jim Wilson on there.
Yes,
Yes.
Jim Wilson, and oh gosh, they're
Well,
how
not
could
not Jim Wilson. Yeah, but we know who you're talking
oh, you're
about.
right.
The
That's the guy that we would like to have on. No, it
Yeah.
was always write notes before starting this, Christian. He
Yes.
was their touring
I
keyboardist.
just Yeah, but let's
He's gonna hate me if he hears this. I'm sorry,
yeah,
so
I know.
come at me
Let's hope
right
he
now.
doesn't hear it. But
Uh,
but let's talk about what you've done based on all of those influences that you just kind of ran through,
sure.
because you've mentioned a couple things that you brought in. You wanted to bring an intellectual aspect to it. You wanted to really delve into it, and you also said that you consider me a co-host, which is high praise indeed. But I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I think it's what you bring to the show that makes it extra special. What I do, I love doing it. I'm so happy that you've given me the chance to do it. I love chatting with you and going over all that stuff. But if you listen to the introductions to your show, you put so much work and effort into that to establish the context for the show, to give some perspective to it, and really segue into our conversations. And that's all you. And that's where you bring out that intellectual aspect that you were talking about. And I think that's what makes it such a great endeavor. It's what you've put into it in the total package.
I really appreciate that. That
Yeah,
was something that I did set out to do at the outset, and and sometimes I think I've been able to weave it into the Spark story somewhat successfully. But I always
no,
thought that
absolutely.
that was important to realize that your favorite musician or your favorite artist and the works that they make don't exist in a void. They don't exist in a bubble. There are circumstances, around it that, you know, may have either influenced it or just give you a better idea as to where the culture or the
Absolutely.
zeitgeist was at that
Well,
moment.
I don't want to take the conversation in certain set of directions, but I think you can really only understand a band that's been around for 50 years if you're thinking about what they might have been doing at any point, given the circumstances and the context in which they were operating. Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
particularly,
We'll have you back and we'll get into that discussion. But
yeah. I'm sure
yeah,
if we really wanted to get into how we, myself and you, how we're inspired, we could go on as we have for
yeah.
hours and hours and
But
hours.
we will do that. Yes. But
I do want to say this real
yeah,
quickly. I'm
please.
sorry. I mean, I was just kind of spouting out some intellectual or pseudo intellectual stuff. I would not have chosen Sparks if if there was not a connection to my soul. As cheesy as that may sound, there's an emotional resonance between me and Sparks, and that's uh, maybe a hard thing to explain to people who don't get it, but those who do really do. They've always been able to take me to that happy place or a comfortable
Well,
place.
you, in a very brilliant way, anticipated my next question, and this is what I want to start talking about for a couple minutes. I'm sure there's lots and lots of bands you like. There's lots and lots of bands I like, but we aren't doing this for other bands. We're doing it for Sparks, right? What is it about their music that inspires you to such a deep level and motivated you to go ahead and take these steps and start the podcast? Let's talk about the music itself
Whew.
and how it impacts you
Okay, let's start with
and what you hear in it. What you hear in it.
the music itself. First of all, there's always been a heavy DIY aspect to what Sparks has always done. It's never been a part of the machinery of a record label or anything like that. So what you get when you hear Sparks is pretty much, the unadulterated thoughts and feelings of the Mael brothers, which is really cool. And I cannot say enough about Ron's, lyrical predilections and his skill at them. I mean, he can be very literate, and then he could be singing about their mustaches the next moment, and also be literate in that song about mustaches. Um, the subject matter is he takes the mundane very often and elevates them to something unexpected. That's,
Mm-hmm.
one type of Ron song, and I've always admired that. Also, really admired the fact that they were never married to a genre of music. That's huge to me. I really, really like to listen to and to watch artists who are not easily pigeonholed because they get their inspiration from all over the place, and they're not They don't run away from the passage of time either.
They
Oh
are not
gosh.
running away from the passage of time. And well, that'll be another discussion
Yeah,
because they are not running away from the passage of time. I,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely not. I
There's
think I had
nothing you
a.
said that I disagree with, but that's the one that I've been thinking about a lot lately. So it kind of triggered a reaction.
Oh, okay. No, what you there was one you disagreed with?
No, I said there was nothing you said that I
Oh,
disagreed with,
okay. I thought, okay,
but
now we're
that
gonna get
was
into
the
something
one.
interesting.
Yeah, that
Um,
was the one that triggered the reaction.
oh gosh, and let me see. I think what else? What else? What else? I think I hit most of the. Oh, also, and Ron and Russell have talked about this many times. They're they're funny, and this has been a complaint lodged by Ron and Russell against their detractors, and it's something that I've heard from other artists who have kind of a similar bent in that they welcome humor because hey, life is full of humor, right? Um,
Hmm.
and that doesn't mean that what you're saying or doing shouldn't be taken seriously. And no matter how there, I always enjoyed the humor in their songs and in particular Ron's lyrics, but it doesn't mean that it's all frivolous or a novelty.
Hmm. No, no,
Um,
it isn't. And I think that's actually what inspired this show because you know you can look at it. We and a couple other folks were talking about a fairly innocuous song, "Instant Weight Loss," and we came up with about four different levels of interpretation of that one song, which I thought was pretty amazing because I always heard the song as just a funny little song, but
I'm
there's so
always
much more.
amazed.
Yeah,
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 sorry, yeah, step on you. I'm always
but
amazed
yeah,
by the different interpretations of songs that maybe you only considered one or two. And that's another cool thing about Sparks fandom is that there are always people who get something different, out of
yeah.
the lyrics and whatever. And of course, we know very very well some of those people, and they do some great Sparks fan based work as well.
Absolutely. And we're going to have every single one of those people on this show at some point. I'm so used to saying we, you
Yeah, me
know,
too.
when I'm talking to
Hey,
you.
I'll anytime.
Okay. I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to
You
take
got
you
it.
up on that. But this was really great. This was, it really comes down to the music, doesn't it? And there's music hits you in a certain way and it gets under your skin, and
Yeah.
I don't have the graphic that I was working on before, but it was a way of measuring the level of obsessiveness of Sparks fans. And and I'll get back to you on that. We'll talk. I'll have it on the third episode. But uh, one of the questions I thought of some questions to ask the guests as we work through this chart, and one of them is how much time a day do you spend thinking about Sparks? And I'm a big
Ooh.
fan of Cheap Trick, and I think about them now and then,
Yeah.
but I think about Sparks every day.
Yeah, and now I'm, like, thinking, "Well, quality, quantity, how much, how hard?" Yeah, I mean, to some to some level, I think it's pretty fair to say that I think about Sparks every day. I mean, it definitely helps that folks like you and me
Yeah,
have set in motion these projects where we've
yeah.
opened up dialogues with other people, and that keeps sparks going in our minds. But yeah, I'd say I think about sparks definitely every day.
Yeah,
I think it's fair
we're
to
close
say.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, or close to it. I imagine probably most folks you'll be interviewing on the show will feel similarly.
They have a way of getting under your skin.
For sure.
So, Christian, this was great. I'm so glad you agreed to be my first guest. It just seemed to me the right thing to do because you've been so generous to me, and I am just honored to have had you. And I want to make sure everyone listens to your podcast. How do they get it?
Well, you can find it pretty pretty much in any podcatcher that you might think of that's in the mainstream. So you could go to, oh my gosh, I think Google's getting rid of theirs, but Apple and Spotify and
All the usual places.
all the
It's all
usual
there.
places. You can just I bet you could just look for Sparks as you're looking for podcasts, and it ought to pop up in there.
Yeah.
But again, the full title is All You Ever Think About Is Sparks. And last new episode dropped a week or so ago, featuring Mr. Monty Mallon.
It was great.
And
It was great.
the next one should be coming out. Oh, I think I could probably get around to it in the next week and a half or so.
And you get good feedback? What kind of feedback are you getting from the Sparks fandom?
Oh, that's a really great question. Most of the feedback that I mean, it's all pretty, positive, because you're not gonna there aren't very many. I think it's the kind of show that I don't think most people are just gonna stumble upon by by chance. You're gonna be looking for it. And so most of those people are pretty hardcore Sparks fans. But what I get most often are emails from people who really just want to share their Sparks experiences. I saw them, in the in Wales back in '75 or whatever. I saw them in Japan, of all things, and they really do. They just want to share those experiences and say thank you for for giving us something to listen to and learn, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, just from the one episode that I did, I got a ton of reactions like that. So people want this kind of thing. And thank you so much for getting the ball rolling. It's a great podcast, and I know you deserve all the listeners you get, and I'm sure you're going to be getting more. So at least I hope so. And thank you so much for spending this time with me.
You got it. It is my pleasure, Monty, at any old time. And I know big things ahead for this particular show. And thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to episode 2 of Sparks, Entertainment and Art. This is Monty with Christian Huey, and I am signing off, and we will see you soon.